Is the Cambrian explosion mentioned in the Genesis 1 creation account? One of the most dramatic events in life's history is the Cambrian explosion. This refers to an event that happened about 520 million years ago when, in a geological instant, complex animal life forms appear for the very first time in the Earth's oceans. The duration of the Cambrian explosion may have been under 5 million years, based on a site known as the Shangjiang site in the Yunnan province of China. During this Cambrian explosion, somewhere between 50 to 80% of the animal phyla that have ever existed show up again in a geological instant. Now, from an evolutionary perspective, the Cambrian explosion is a highly enigmatic event that doesn't find ready explanation. From a creation model perspective, however, the Cambrian explosion is the type of feature I would expect in the fossil record if indeed a creator stepped in and intervened to create animal life as it first appears in the Earth's oceans. Now, when I think about the Cambrian explosion, I'm immediately drawn to the fifth day of creation, where the text tells us that God commanded the waters to teem with life, and they teemed with life. And the life forms that are referred there in the original Hebrew are the sherez, which are animals that are swarming, swimming, creeping, and crawling animals, precisely the types of animals that would have appeared in the Earth's oceans during the Cambrian explosion. Now, one of the odd features of the Genesis 1 creation account to me is the fact that animal life doesn't appear in the Earth's oceans until the fifth day of creation. Why I find that odd is because, as we see in Genesis 1:2, the Earth is a water world. So why wouldn't God create animal life at that particular time in Earth's history? Why wait until the creation week is almost completed to create animal life? Or this is where science gives us some insight. As it turns out, the Cambrian explosion couldn't really happen until about 520 million years ago, when it did, because the Earth simply wasn't able to sustain complex animal life until that point in time. One of the requirements for complex animal life would be high levels of oxygen in the atmosphere. And this was only possible after continental land masses formed, which created shallow water environments that allowed cyanobacteria to flourish, and as they did, to produce oxygen that began to accumulate in the Earth's atmosphere at high enough levels to support advanced life. Also, as the continents formed, the weathering products would be washed into the oceans, altering the pH of the oceans, going from acidic to closer to neutral, again necessary for advanced life. And then also the continents provide this shallow water environments that allow for animal life to exist, like on the continental shelf and the upper part of the continental slope. Now, it's interesting in light of that to then look at the Genesis 1 creation account, because the fifth day of creation follows after the third day of creation, where land forms, the continents form, and the fourth day of creation, where the Earth's atmosphere is transformed, presumably due to the increase in oxygen in the atmosphere. So in other words, when we look at the sequence of events in Genesis 1, they closely match the sequence of events that we see in life's history, and in a way that makes sense for why God would create animal life on the fifth day of creation, not at the very onset, as Genesis 1:2 would, as we would expect based on Genesis 1:2. If you want to know more about the remarkable scientific accuracy of the Genesis 1 through 11 creation accounts, I would refer you to a book written by my friend, Dr. Hugh Ross, called Navigating Genesis.